Hello and welcome to Khaartoum podcast number 9. I am your host of the most, Khaartoum, on YouTube and BitChute.com. And how are you? Today, could we talk about men? Is the price too high? Now I'm thinking about a lot of comments, films, literature, famous people, actors, actresses mostly rather than actors, talking about their experiences with males in relationships. Glenda Jackson famously said in the 60s, I think men are a lot of hard work for very little. Cynthia Payne, Grand Madame of London brothels, said, sexually, men are animals. I've got it wrong. When the balls are full, the brain is empty. Oh dear. And further to that, you have D.H. Lawrence in Women in Love and his study of how the male and the female are. The Glenda Jackson character, not the actress, we've heard what she thinks. And Glenda Jackson says the problem is the man. The man makes the relationship impossible. Then she goes on with this very attractive mine owner, Gerald, who her personality is very arty and clever and cerebral, and he is very beautiful and brutish, and she says, oh, you are so beautiful. And of course there's all this overbearing sex which she begins to dislike it. And she says something like, when I think about you and your damn coal mines, it makes my heart sick. You cannot love. You are a dead end. When I think of a life at Shortlands and domesticity, and she goes on like this. So it's like, what if you are the receiving end of a male? This is in a relationship. This is what's being talked about. Quentin Crisp was another looking at the gay aspect, and he sort of said, a very attractive actress friend of mine who had a great many men, said that every man that she'd ever had to be carried every step of the way, which tells us about a kind of dependency. Now, men, the problem is we're dealing with men, if we're talking stereotypically, I know it's not all men, but we're kind of dealing with men are sort of, the eyes are trying to hypnotize you into sort of becoming a slave. They're looking for often another mother. They tend to be lazy, they tend to be dirty, they tend to be aggressive, they can be violent. Everything they like is boring as well a lot of the time. Cars, football, money, pornography, everything is boring. Then you've got where they're all chat and talk if they're really keen on you, and then suddenly they're silent and they don't want to talk, and then you don't know what's wrong, and you've got all days of that, and all cups slamming and silence and scowling and moods, and then you've got all the sort of sex all over, and then suddenly there's no sex, and then the marriages can go on where there's no sex forever and a day, and then you think, well, why were we married in the first place? And then all of this, you've got this aging thing, you've got the infidelity, they get bored, and it just seems that men are a rough deal. Not all men, obviously there will be some men, and obviously some men have terrible situations, and the situation is reversed where they've got terrible women, and we could be certain of that. I was talking to a Bulgarian friend about that the other day. He was saying the same thing, that he was in a nightmare with different women. It just seems that if you are taking on a man in a long-term relationship, it's like what they're taking and what you get back. This is the question. So, Khaartoum podcast, tune in again. Men, is the price too high? This is Khaartoum tuning out. Goodbye from Khaartoum.